Good morning. It is Friday morning. I'm in Austin, Texas. I'm not anywhere near downtown. I'm in this place called The Domain, and it's it's industrial, and there's some apartments here. I'll show you outside. So this is what you see from my window, but you see like there's that big like electrical grid over there, ton of apartments and stuff. So it's at least I have a view of the pool, so I guess that's cool. So I traveled yesterday. I went from New York to Texas. That's always fun. It's Friday morning, so it's a check-in day. And the question is, how did you do with your goals that you set on Monday? Did you meet them? Did you exceed them? I didn't do as much exercise as I wanted, and I still haven't gotten to my book, but I've been working really hard on the business, and so that has taken some time. I have my 1 cup of coffee, but I think it's probably going to turn into 2 today. What's been going on with me though is I've been waking up every morning with headaches, and so I'm excited to get off of caffeine because I think that the use of caffeine has contributed. So I did 1 HIIT workout. I don't think I went for any walks. I'm going to try and do some walks here in Texas. It's hot here. It's in the 90s and it's humid, and so like this is one of the parts of the country where it'll just automatically start raining. So it just, you're just outside or whatever, and then out of the blue it just starts raining. So Virginia's like that too. There's parts of Virginia where it's just, in the summertime when you go there, it just rains. I won't be on Friday and Saturday, but I'll be back on Monday. I'm in Austin for a conference, which it's all about the online business. So we should have some good things coming. A whole bunch of things are getting released in the next few weeks. So that's exciting. So Christine, how did you do with your goals this week? Question. And whoever else is watching, I wish Facebook would let me see who's watching again, but they don't let me see that anymore. And I never got to my book this week again. So I'm going to have to start making that a priority. One thing I have to do, and so maybe I'm going to ask for some help with accountability, is we're going on a cruise ship, and cruise ships are notorious for alcohol and food. And this particular cruise ship, all the alcohol is included. So I'm gonna tell you all that I'm gonna be accountable. So I'm gonna be accountable to you guys, because one thing I don't want to do is I don't want to go on vacation and gain 10 pounds. I want to go on vacation and actually have like an active vacation, and maybe even if the universe conspires with me, I'll drop a few pounds. So I will be accountable to you guys about what happens. Remember when I was in Chicago and that one night I drank too much the night before, and I woke up to have my live, and I was like, because I was hungover. I was really hungover. That was bad. So I had a drink last night. Maybe that's why I have a headache. I didn't think about that, because that stuff makes me feel bad. And I keep on telling myself that it just makes me feel bad. I mean, I've done my genetic testing, and there's certain things I don't metabolize well. I take milk thistle to support my liver, so you'd think that I wouldn't drink at all, but social occasions sometimes I just do. So at the end of the day, I want to know how everyone is doing. So I'm sitting in my hotel room. I just want to know how people are doing, and this is a safe space. So if you didn't meet your goals, and oftentimes I don't meet my goals, I try. I did get all the membership stuff done for the people who are in the membership, so it's done. And it may actually be available in your members area. It may not. It depends on the team. It's Friday, so hopefully that'll get released to you soon. But you have to log in, and that is completely done. And I'm so excited for you guys. And we have exercise challenges starting on Monday for the members in the membership, and I have to do them too. So I'll be accountable and make sure I post it in the forum that I've done it. Yeah. So I really want to hear from you guys about how you did with your goals. If you didn't set goals, that's okay. Just, come on Monday. I don't have the Google Sheet open for the goals. And then I'll be going live make sure you get into the menopause workshop Facebook group, because I'll be going live in there at random times throughout the whole workshop time. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about disappointment, because what I want to do is I want to ask you a question. Can you guys just tell me what disappointment means to you? Just thinking about your life and what it means. I've been dealing with some disappointment, and so I thought it would be a good topic to bring up. So disappointment to me, when I look at it objectively with my higher self, it looks like expectation that wasn't met. Expectation that wasn't met. So how do you, and this is what I'm really struggling with. So for me, the circumstance that's happening is I'm in a negotiation for one of my businesses that is really valuable, and the people that I'm negotiating with, that's just one of the situations. So say Lori was going to go sell her salon, the expectation would be that she would get a price that's, commensurate with the value and the income that the salon brings in. And if the person who is negotiating to try and buy thought that they could take advantage of Lori for some reason because they felt like Lori was desperate or they felt like they had one up on Lori, then they would be able to lowball her. The best thing is that when you're in a negotiation like that, if you don't want to sell, you don't have to. So here's the next question. If you're somebody who has studied manifestation, how do you put together the premise that to manifest something you have to keep it in your heart and meditate on it and think about it, with the disappointment that comes when you don't get what you're trying to manifest? So these are really, I think, important questions. And I think what happens is sometimes the universe has a different plan. We have a plan for ourselves, and the universe has a different plan for us. Our job is to get in alignment with the universe, get our vibration to the place where we are really in alignment with the universe. And to do that, sometimes we have disappointment, and sometimes we have to surrender and say, okay, this is what I expected as me, as the ego me. What exactly is it that you want? Or what is the best thing? So what I try to do when I'm disappointed is first of all, I used to get mad. I used to get really mad, but I don't get mad anymore. So now what I try to do is especially when I'm upset, I have to sit. I have to sit and try and let go. That's the answer. I have to let go. Sometimes we want something. When we have something in our head and we think it's the right thing, especially, so somebody like me, like I almost always get what I want. And that's not from a spoiled child perspective. It's just that, I'm usually in alignment. I'm just usually in alignment. And so usually what I want is what the universe wants for me as well. And when that doesn't happen, then I'm like, well, why do I have this desire? I have to go back and look. Why do I have this desire? What is the lesson? So remember, this is something that James Wedmore says a lot. He says, you either get the result you want or the lesson you need. And so if life has given you a desire and an expectation, and then that expectation isn't met for whatever reason, rather than disappointment, I think our job is to look at it and say, what's the lesson here? Now remember, like I said on Wednesday, a grand vision, a big vision, will pull you forward. And then we write our goals every Monday that's going to take us towards that big vision. So we chunk down everything. And we can take it one step further, and we can do a daily task list as well, that I will get to probably in the next few weeks, on how to write a daily task list that will take you to your goals. The part of us that wants to kick and scream is probably the child inside of us. One of the things about truly becoming an adult is recognizing that child inside of us, letting it have a second, nurturing it and telling it it's okay, but not letting that child run our lives. I read a story once about a young couple who got married, right? They were in their 20s. The wife, they had their first big fight. I think they were on their honeymoon. And the wife got down on the floor and started kicking and screaming, because that's what she did from toddler on, and nobody ever corrected her. And that was how she managed her emotions, just like a toddler. Can you imagine seeing a 20-some-odd-year-old woman on the ground kicking and screaming? So you don't want to let that child in your life, the child that's inside, run your life. That's a recipe for disaster. The Monday, Wednesday, Friday, the setting the goals on the Monday and the Wednesday and the Friday check-in, That is all just to help you move towards your grand vision. And I asked last week on Friday, I said, what do you want? I came back in on Saturday and asked you, what do you want? And not a lot of people had really spent much time thinking about it. But if you really want to direct your life, it's important to know what it is you want. What do you want in your life? And then when disappointment comes, all you have to do is pivot. It's just a matter of pivoting. It's not a matter of having to really change course the whole way. It's just a little bit of a course correction. And maybe the feeling of disappointment, the heavy, depressing kind of feeling like, wow, I really expected this, but I'm not getting it. Maybe that feeling is there so that we can correct our course. Because we have to acknowledge our feelings. Our feelings, they're there to help us, to guide us into where we're supposed to go. But sometimes they're not fun. So we'll be doing a video podcast, and I have to kind of wait for those guys to tell me what to do as far as that goes. But that's why I'm wearing a microphone, because they're capturing it and using it for the podcast. And so it's pretty exciting, and it's going to be called Menopause Movement, which is, that's my brand, my business. So when it's ready, it's going to take a few weeks to get onto iTunes. That's the one that takes the longest. But we'll be on the other podcasting channels a lot sooner, like Spotify and stuff. So you'll be able to take these, and they've gone back to my live since January, and they're starting to pull those together. So they'll be putting them into podcast. They'll pull the audio, and you'll be able to take me with you in your ears as you're exercising and stuff, and you won't be tied to your phone as much. I mean, I'll still do the lives because I like it. I mean, it's kind of funny because, every once in a while, so I brought this book with me because I think on Monday I'm going to talk about this book. Remember, I showed it to you, and this is what I was teaching on Wednesday. And so I'm going to spend some time with that, and I think on Monday I'll teach you guys a little bit more about how to change your behavior. But what I love about the lives is that it allows me a chance to just kind of channel the universe. I'm going to be a guest on the Minnow podcast next week, but it's probably going to be 2 weeks from now. But they're going to be interviewing me on the Minnow podcast. So if you listen to that, please subscribe and download their podcast. I'm going to be a guest. I don't even know. We're going to talk about the workshop probably, and the Minnow system, and the transformation that the ladies got that went through it on the podcast. So let's get back to disappointment and emotions. So what do you guys usually do when you have those negative, heavy emotions? There's a couple of things that's important to know. There's an exercise that I used to do when I was learning how to manage my emotions, and I was in a weird place where I had quit my job for a little while. And every morning, as soon as I woke up, after I went to the bathroom, I just wrote. I wrote for 5 minutes or something, just to get that out. I've never even read those journals. I have them, and I've never even read them. It's going to be part of the research at some point for the book I'm writing. But the thing is that what you can do if you write first thing in the morning, what that can do is it can set your intention for the day. Remember, we happen to our day. We don't let our day happen to us, right? That's why we set our goals. That's why we want to think about what our grand vision is. If you don't know what your purpose is here on life, and purpose in life here is on earth, then you can start thinking about that. When we get disappointed, we tend to get into a funk. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your questions, right? That's a Tony Robbins quote. If you are going into a funk and you think that going to the refrigerator or the grocery store and eating those crisps or chips or eating that ice cream is going to make anything better, does it make things better, or does it make you feel worse? So what happens when you make the decision to, let's just take the behavior of eating right now. What happens when you go and eat? How do you feel about yourself afterwards? That's where this book is going to help us, right? Nobody likes feeling bad. That's our feelings are a place where we pay attention to them. So what are our feelings for? Our feelings are a way for us to gauge how we're doing. So if we're feeling heavy and bad, is that a place where we can have permission to go and self-destruct. So the question, the better question when we're disappointed, the better question when we're disappointed is, who am I being? Who am I being? And who do I want to be? Now, the hard part about this is actually changing your behavior. When you get into this, so remember that we have ingrained behaviors maybe from childhood. We have to pay really close attention, not only to our emotional domain, and we have to know when our emotional domain is going to take us to that place where we feel like we need a treat, or we feel like we need to be rewarded because we're feeling bad, right? Remember, when we were kids and we were crying, what did our moms do to shut us up? Candy, maybe? Cookies, maybe? My mom made brownies. You want to love yourself? There's a great book called Love Yourself Like Your Life Depends Upon It. It's a quick read. It's about 30 minutes, maybe 40. You know, everybody says love yourself, but then in America, the way we work things out, is that, if you love yourself too much, then you're narcissistic. So for the paperback, it's $4.99. They must have rewritten the Kindle because it's $12.99. Okay, good. I'm going to give you the link to buy this book. It's funny, when you're on a business page, when you put stuff in, like when I put it brought up beef. It's what's for dinner. That's just the link to buy the book. That is a fantastic book. It's a good way to get started. And when I started with that, I was running a lot, and I would do mantras. And I would because for whatever reason, I was never, I don't think we're taught to love ourselves in America as children. I can't speak to any other country, although we come from England, most of us, those who settled here way back, and so I think we've got a lot of the same mores as the English, although the English are much more reserved. We're not told to love ourselves, and then there's societal pressure that says you have to be really, perfect. What does the media do? They put out women who have bodies that are unattainable for most of us. They Photoshop the women's bodies so that they look a certain way, and it's just not realistic. And so we're bombarded with all these images from day one, and it's not real. That's not reality. Reality is what's going on in here and in here, right? In your heart and in your head. That's what reality is. So pay attention to your emotions. And when you get into that space, all right, because now you guys are aware. Now you're aware that when you're feeling that disappointment, now you have to really look at your emotional state and say, who am I being? Who am I being, and why am I giving myself permission to self-destruct? Because when you go and eat that ice cream, and I'm not saying that it's not something you can do sometimes, but if you're doing it out of an emotional state where you're trying to reward yourself and make yourself feel better, and then you know that later you won't feel better, then it's time to change that behavior. And the way to change that behavior is to first start by being aware of it. It's really hard to lose weight in menopause, but you can. And we do go into great depth in the Minnow system on how to manage weight and diet. I think sugar is optional. That's my take on it. The funny thing about diet is that there's a lot of opinion that comes in through diet and not a lot of science. And so you have to, when you're trying to figure out diet, it's a matter of really pulling away all of the opinion and trying to look at everything without emotion. But when it comes to diet, there's a lot of emotion there. And have we been able to reframe disappointment a little bit for you? Because it's helped for me. It's helped a lot. I was really kind of down when I started talking today, and now I feel really good. Stephen Covey in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People talks about how to begin with the end in mind. The whole idea is and what I'm trying to help you with is to see the big picture, right? And then ask the appropriate questions. But you see the big picture, so what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And then every day you can make decisions that will take you closer to what you want. Remember, if you know what you want, you can chunk it down. So let's look at something that's easy, like weight loss. Weight loss is easy to frame. It's not easy to do, it's easy to frame. I want to, in the next 3 years, say, I want to drop 60 pounds. Let's just say that that's it. Remember, the emotions come because they're directing you somewhere. The emotions are directing you somewhere. And the thing to do is to acknowledge the emotions and then sit with them and say to God or the universe, why? What is this? You know, I'm not talking, sometimes we're depressed, right? That's a clinical depression, and that's something that needs medical treatment. So I'm not talking to anybody who has clinical depression here. I'm just talking about managing disappointment and disappointment feelings, and the feelings that come when our expectations aren't met, our expectations of ourselves, our expectations of others. Disappointment comes out of expectation. The bigger thing for me, and I'm trying to get more in alignment with the universe, is how to manage disappointment when something that I really thought was going to manifest just doesn't, right? And so we sit with that and we ask the universe, where are we going? We ask our higher self, where are we going? Or God, or whatever your spiritual practice is. Where are we going? The main thing is to get out of that low vibration, get back into the high vibration, the one where we feel good. And remember, happiness is a choice. So you wake up in the morning and you decide no matter what happens, whether I lose that court case or whether I'm bankrupt, it doesn't matter. I'm going to be happy. Isn't that wonderful? There's a story that Dr. Rao tells about a monk who is up high in the Himalayas, and he's only got like a cloth he's wearing, and it's nighttime. He curls, he goes to sleep by a rock or something, and a whole bunch of travelers walk by and say, oh, here's this man who has it's cold out and he has nothing but this tunic covering him. So they give him a warm coat, and he says, isn't that wonderful? Now I've got this warm coat. A few minutes later, some ne'er-do-well kinds of people walk by, and they say, hey, look, here's this coat. And they steal the coat from him, and the guy says, well, isn't that wonderful? Now they have the coat, and it's good for them. And that would be a great place to be. It's hard when things happen. One time, when I was in residency, it was around Christmas time, and I had purchased all the presents for my son. And he was young at the time, maybe 5 or 6. And so they were in my car, and my residency was in an area of New York that has maybe higher crime, and I wasn't aware of it. I left the presents in the back of the car. Somebody looked in, broke the window, and took them all. And so I went home and I told my son, I said, somebody took the presents. I said, but, and this was my state back then. And now I'm working harder to bit. I said, well, they needed them more than we do, and that's okay. I'll buy you more presents. There's more than just the thyroid. I'm hypothyroid too. There's more than just the thyroid when it comes to weight loss in menopause. There's other things. There's the diet, and then there's calories, and there's a type of exercise you're doing. But exercise is not important as important as diet when it comes to weight loss. Exercise is about 20% of it, and the rest of it is all diet. So abs are made in the kitchen. Let's not forget that. So what I was going to say before I got off on that tangent was I was going to talk about setting goals. So if you know what you want, and this is why I keep saying, what do you want, what do you want, what do you want? If you know what you want, so if the goal is I want to lose 60 pounds in the next 3 years, so that's 20 pounds a year, then I'm going to do those behaviors every day that take me towards that. And so what has to be top of mind is what is the goal, and who am I being? Am I being that person who is at the goal weight that I have set for myself, or am I being that person who is staying at the weight that I'm at, right? And so what are the things? So for those of us who want to lose weight, I'm going to ask you to put in the comments right now, what are the things that somebody has to do? What are the behaviors that people have to do in order to drop a good portion of their body weight? So remember that a goal without action is a wish. So the action, what are the actions that somebody has to do? Number 1, drink more water, right? So you go from maybe 2 glasses of water a day to 10. Definitely somebody who wants to lose weight has to increase their water. The other thing is that remember, to have a lasting change in your body, you need a lasting change in your life. Remember, all right, when you want to make this behavior, keep looking at my goal and think of the end result. That's really good, all right? Your goal is to lose, if this is what it is, it's to lose 60 pounds or whatever, but let's just use that for example. If I am in a place where I have a goal to lose 60 pounds and I'm drinking beer, I'm not going to lose the weight, right? Even it doesn't matter if my diet's dialed in, drinking beer is going to sabotage that, right? What I'm trying to drive home is that we have to make the decision every single day and sometimes every single minute about who are we going to be? Who am I going to be as I move forward? Now, I'm going to tell you I had some really disappointing news yesterday and I was super upset. I thought at the time I went downstairs from here to go to our meeting, I thought that there was going to be people down there in the Gab. They had a cocktail hour last night. And what I did, I was like, okay, I'm going to go eat Mexican food and have some margaritas with some people. And then there were no people. So I ended up eating healthy food and then I had a glass of wine at the cocktail hour. But at the end of the day, you know, the universe conspired to help me with my goals, right? Because who am I rebelling against when I go off my diet? I'm just rebelling against myself as that child, that 15-year-old who always said no to everyone. What I'm trying to say is that every single day, if our goal is a behavior change, and it can be anything from weight loss, which is, you know, something that we really is top of mind for women in menopause, but it can be anything from weight loss to increasing movement. How much weight can realistically a person lose? I think a person can lose 100% of their excess body fat. I actually do believe that, but it just depends. It depends on what you want. It depends on what your goals are and how you want to look. I will disagree with this is not about willpower. This is about a lifestyle change. So if you really want to drop that weight, or if you want to sculpt your body, then you've got to do the same things that people who have the body that you like do, which means a changing of your lifestyle. It has to be something that you like, a way you like to live, because otherwise it's never going to happen, right? Other places where you can apply these kinds of examples is like, let's say you're a loner and you don't have many friends. Then what are the behaviors that you would have to do to make more friends, right? That's one way. A lot of my goals are around my physical body because that's just what's top of mind for me right now. But there's a lot of other things that we can do. How do you make a friend? How do you be a friend? There are many things. Lifestyle is, I mean, we'll stay with the weight example just because that's kind of what we started with. But if we can change our lifestyle to the point that we're happy, but happiness is a choice, remember. But just one positive thought about your body is not going to change your eating behaviors. What changes your eating behaviors is a conscious decision to go and clean everything that's crappy out of your cupboard, right? And a conscious decision to not eat pizza when everyone else is. A conscious decision to put 80% of vegetables on your plate, to drink that water that, and that makes you pee, every 30 seconds. So again, we go back to what is the grand vision, right? Start with the end in mind. The end in mind is to, let's go from 200 pounds to 140 pounds, right? But we're going to do it in 5-pound increments. And the way to get to that is to say, okay, today, and however long the weight takes to come off, because you're changing your lifestyle, it doesn't matter anymore how long it takes for the weight to come off. Because at the end of the day, when you change your lifestyle, you're going to start feeling better. You're going to start moving more, because what you're putting in your body, the DNA that you're putting in your body through the food that you're eating, is going to make you feel better. And as you start to feel better, you're going to start to do more activities, right? You make the conscious decision, okay, I'm going to start drinking 5 liters of water a day. And then you do it. And that doesn't mean that you drink like 4 liters before you go to bed. You've got to actually make the decision. So that can be something that you decide that day. That's one of your tasks, right? So the goal on a Monday would be drink 5 liters of water a day, or drink more water or whatever. And then you set your task on every single day. Okay, I've got 5 liters and tick it off on your list, right? 80% vegetables, tick that off. Plan my meals, take 1 day on a Sunday to plan and sort out your meals. And then have a guide. Like if you're somebody who eats out a lot, you can still do this, but you have to understand that restaurants are flexible, and a menu is really just a list of ingredients. And so you can pick and choose off of different parts of the menu and say, hey, I want to have this with that. And I don't want potatoes, but I want more vegetables. And I want like 3 times the vegetables, but don't use butter on them. Things like that. Those are all choices that you can make. But then you're like that person at the restaurant when you go to a restaurant. But it's all depends on what kind of health you want and whether you're willing to make those choices. And if you see the people who have the weight that you want, or have the body that you want, you just watch their behaviors, you watch their disciplines. But this is not about willpower. It's a decision. Remember, willpower is like a battery, right? We have so much in the morning, and then as we go through the day, it gets depleted, right? And so we only have so much of it. And that means, so by the end of the day, if we've said no to the cookie, no to the cookie, no to the cookie, no to the cookie, and then all of a sudden it's like, well, fuck it, I'm going to have that cookie. That's willpower. But if you get to the point where the decision is, that's not food, that's not something I eat, that's not something I eat, I don't want to eat that, then you don't have to use your willpower. Then it's just, so you got to start with something small. Michelle made a huge change in her diet, and she stuck with it, and she's seeing all the changes that go with it. She's losing weight, she's moving more, she's feeling better. So it's just a decision. All right, guys, it's been an hour. I got to go. I'm getting ready to go to my conference. I want to hear from you, though. And what I want to know is, tell me your biggest takeaway from today in the comments. All right. And anybody who's watching the replay, thank you for staying this long and watching the replay. Also, don't forget that Menopause Workshop opens July 18th, and you can sign up at menopauseworkshop.com. That's going to be, it's a 3-part video series all about managing your menopause naturally. Also, I've got the, if you like what I'm doing here, I've got a training called the Menopause Blueprint Training, and that's $50, and you can buy it here, and that takes us through, you through the Menopause Blueprint with a whole bunch of things that aren't in there. It's a way to get some instant training on how to manage your menopause and get more sleep. I've got a couple of books on offer, and those I put the link there for the books. Okay, but the training is really good, and I'd hate for you to miss out on that. If you like what I'm doing here, you'll love that training. It's really good. It's only $50. It's like $49 or something. I think that if you guys like this, one other question I want to ask you is, if you like the training I'm giving you here on creating goals and realistic goals, would you like a private training where we set this out in more detail on how to manage your life, how to set goals, how to find out what you want? Because we can go more detailed into what to do with your life. So if you like that, I have to talk to the team about that, because we've got a lot of moving pieces right now. But that's something that I can create. If you want me to create it, I can create it. Probably we would have to pre-sell it, so we have to create a quick checkout page. And then if you're really interested in it, we can pre-sell it, and then we can go through and do it together. But we can put this more, into more of a framework for you if you really are interested in changing your life. We can pre-sell it, and then it's something that we could do maybe in September. All right. So if you're really interested in it, send me a message, and we can talk about how to get going on that. So you send me a message at Dr. Michelle Gordon on Facebook, and I'll answer you. In Cold Spring, there's a farm called Glenwood, and they have retreat facilities. And I was thinking about doing a 3-day, 2-night retreat there. But again, it depends on cost and depends on interest. It's something I would have to pre-sell because those things cost money. And so for if women are interested in having, coming to New York, Cold Spring isn't very far from, Connecticut and New York are so close. But I support that farm, the Glenwood Farm. It's a nonprofit farm, and they do incubators and stuff. And so I would love to have my first retreat there. And they have really, really good food. So I'm thinking about maybe next April having a menopause movement retreat, but we'd have to pre-sell it, and I need to gauge interest. I think before we do that, I think the best thing would be for us to try and pre-sell this life management course. And if anyone is interested in that, send me a message and we can talk about pricing and getting an idea of what we're going to do. My team's going to kill me because I've got so many moving pieces, but I can create the course and then we can kind of go from there. But I really enjoy teaching this part about life management and doing goal setting and finding your purpose. It was a big part since 2011 of my life. So again, if you're interested in joining in on a course that hasn't been created yet, but if you want to buy that and get detailed information and coaching on how to change your life and find your purpose, then put a yes in the comments. Yes, I'm interested, and then we can send you some information, or you can send me a message. All right. So have a fantastic day, and remember, you still have 2 days to finish your goals from Monday. Sign up for Menopause Workshop. Go get the blueprint training. It's really fantastic. And I will see you guys on Monday. Bye. Hey, thanks for watching the Menopause Movement podcast and joining in. I really appreciate you. And if you liked it, please head on over to iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts and leave us a positive review. That will really help us out. And don't forget to sign up for the Menopause Workshop. It's opening on July 18th. You can sign up at menopauseworkshop.com. I'll see you there.